And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Montgomery IDA meeting, March 10th, 2026. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, noting who's present. We have Jose, Matt, myself, George, Miley, and Greg. Full quorum. Stacy is absent today by notice, so she sends her apologies. The first motion for us, or the first activity for us, is the approval of the February 3rd, 2026 meeting minutes.
Tom, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I think we should just clear up who was president and who was present at the last meeting and what their position is. Because right now it says that I'm the secretary, Stacy Hellman is just a member, Lauren Crowley is the secretary. I think some of these got a little messed up. Because Stacy should be the assistant treasurer, correct?
What did we actually settle on positions last?
She read out, Matt was absent, so she read out all the financials last meeting, so as the assistant secretary, treasurer. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall what we did 2 months ago. Noted, they will be corrected.
Yeah,
they
I just
need
want
to
to
be
make sure they're
corrected.
right.
Yes.
But I want to make sure we're also up to date on what our approvals were in January for positions. Thank you, Griff.
Other than that, it's good.
All right. Any other changes, questions? And I will note too, Vinny is absent. I don't know if he spoke to you before he left. He will be coming back if he can. Had a personal issue that was pressing. All right, so can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Upon changes with
I'll
the
make that
correction
motion.
of who's present
I'll
and the
make-
proper titles.
I'll make that motion.
Get a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections, abstentions? No. Full approval. All right. Second item for us is any public comments or items on the agenda. And we don't have any public participating in the room today. Lauren, do you know if anyone wrote in or? No?
I don't think so.
All right, great. So move on. Next thing for us is the review from PKF on our annual audit. We'll have the report and presentation. So Jeff Shavers is here to present on behalf of PKF.
Thank you. Again, my name is Jeff Shaver, partner with PKF O'Connor Davies. Happy to be here to present the results, the draft results of the audit for the fiscal year end December 31st, 2025. Everyone should have three documents: the financial statements and supplementary information, a smaller report, schedule of cash and investments, and a report to those charged with governance. So I'll start with the financial statements. And on the first page after the table of contents is what's known as the independent auditor's report. This is what we call an unmodified audit opinion. Sometimes we refer to that as a clean opinion, and that's the most favorable opinion that you can receive. What that means is that the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. There is also a report required by government auditing standards where we would identify, we'd be required to tell you if we identified any material weaknesses in your internal controls. Happy to report none have been reported, so that's also clean auditor's report. In terms of financial highlights, if you go to page 4 and 5, page 5 is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in that position. There were some 2,000 in fees collected during the year. The operating expenses were 146,000. The most significant of your operating expenses are your contracted services, which is the reimbursement to the town for the executive director's salary and the secretary's salary. Some professional fees, audit and legal, marketing, web services, 12,450, and miscellaneous, which is kind of like all-encompassing, insurance expenses in there, software costs, conferences, and general office expense, $12,468. So your total operating expenses for the year, $146,000. There's a loss from operations of $144,000. There was also non-operating revenues, or in your case, just interest income, collected on the cash balances that you have, $6,000. So the change in net position or net income for the year, or net loss rather, $137,990. The net position at the beginning of the year was $355,000, and it draws it down to $217,000. And you can see on the statement of net position, which is the balance sheet, all your assets are in the form of cash, $279,000. There are some liabilities, accrued expenses. That's mostly the reimbursements that need to be made back to the town for the salaries incurred. And also the audit fee is accrued in there. And there's a project escrow liability of $22,000. So those are the funds that the project are, depositing with you for legal fees and other costs that will get, paid down as the projects, move forward. And that brings you to your net position or your equity, $216,937. I will point out that I know you have some projects upcoming, but you kind of have, at the rate you're going now, a year and a half left in assets in order, in order to keep on going. I know there's some stuff in the pipeline, so just want to publicly state that that's what the situation is at this point in time.
And current best practice is still 3 months worth of operating cash, correct?
Well,
understand
IDAs,
deals coming, but
I think IDAs are a little unique in that you have a project, you might close and collect a big fee, so you might have a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to kind of draw it down, wait for the next one. So 3 months may not be enough for an IDA, because you don't know when that next project is coming. If you can kind of time the projects, then, the standard 3 months would be, probably adequate.
But it's enough time to wind down a business if you had to wind down a business.
Yes, if you had to, yeah. There's some supplementary information here. I'll show you the schedule of the payments in lieu of taxes on pages 13 and 14 towards the back. There's a lot going on this page, so I'll try to explain this. This would be in the first 3 columns, what these entities would pay in real property taxes had they not been given the abatement agreements. And then the next 3 columns after that is what they were required to pay in payments in lieu of taxes. And then the next 3 columns are just the difference between what they would have paid and what they did pay, giving you the exemption amount. There's the one project on the last project, the Hudson Valley Country Club, only received a sales tax exemption, so that one kind of doesn't have a pilot agreement. There's, in speaking with Vinny, we do send all these entities like confirmations, because they're supposed to be reporting back to the IDA at least annually on how many people they have employed, and such. And some of them give us some of the information we ask for, and some of them don't give us stuff, and we have to chase them. So, what came to our attention during this process was one of the projects is delinquent on the school tax payment. So that's Stewart Holdings is currently unpaid on the school tax piece. They did pay the county and local piece. I believe that would have been due in September. So it is reflected on here as a payment because that, to show the exemption, that's what it needs to be. I was considering, it's not on here, but I was considering doing a little footnote, maybe just saying currently, little, delinquent on this payment, just to make it
Yeah, it's
clear.
impossible to issue a delinquency report, just make it part of the normal template going forward.
I've never seen that before, but we could.
I think that's the most important information, right?
Yeah, we could certainly, we could put a statement that all have been paid if that's the case, except, we could say that.
Yeah.
That would work, if
We'll
that
work it out,
works.
but yeah,
Yeah.
something that makes it just easier, more transparent to
Yeah.
quickly identify.
Okay. But I can do that. The town does all the collections, so we're looking at the bills that go out.
Yeah.
We're not seeing we as auditors, and Vincent doesn't see the cash either. It's all going through the town, so we're kind of relying on what the people of the town are telling us. Not that I think anyone's telling us the wrong information, but, they've told us that, hey, there's one that's not paid, and we could easily just notate it on here.
Now, are you also testing the conditions of the pilot, so number of jobs?
No.
Okay.
So it's really just for
Just the
disclosure. It's really just, we recalculate some of them, so, because we have seen at other IDAs, some pilots like being billed incorrectly. So we don't look at every single one, but we'll test a few of them to make sure that what's being billed as a pilot is actually matching up to the agreement. So we do that. It's not part of the audit process that they're maintaining the jobs that they said they would, and such like that. That's part of more like the Paris reporting.
Yeah.
So
I was just curious if you tested spot tests.
they do give us some of that information as part of the process, but it's not something that
Okay.
goes into the audit. The note disclosures, pretty standard, nothing really significantly changed from last year, so unless there's a question, I won't take you through those. There's a schedule of cash and investments. This is required by New York State because there's some specific laws that relate to how IDAs invest their funds. It's pretty generic in your case, since all your assets are in the form of just cash. So there's nothing really to report in this cash and investments report. But one thing that does go into it is us reviewing the investment policy that the IDA has and adopts every year, and make sure it has some basic attributes that are required by the state. So everything in that report is also clean, or no findings there. The last document is the report to those charged with governance. There's required audit communications that are in here, some of which I kind of hit on as I was going through the financial statements. We'd be required to tell you in here if there was modifications to the auditor's opinion, so there was none of those. We talk a little bit about auditor's responsibilities versus the client's responsibilities. The accounting policies that are, there was one new accounting policy that was required to be adopted. It's just regarding certain risk disclosures. So if there's a concentration, if a governmental entity has a concentration or constraint related to a revenue source, or could be an expense as well. If there's a concentration or constraint, you're required to now disclose that. And disclose if there's any events that have occurred or likely to occur surrounding that concentration. So there is a new disclosure in there that really the IDA, and you're not unique in this way, all IDAs are relying on the project closing fee, so that's really a concentration of your revenue stream. But there's been no events surrounding your ability to collect or ability to close projects, so it's really just a generic disclosure to say, hey, this concentration is out there, but there's no real issues known at this time surrounding that revenue stream. We would be required to tell you if we identified any fraud or illegal acts in this letter. Happy to report there was none that we became aware of or found during the conduct of the audit. We did have a few recommendations, which we put on page 11. I'll start with the second one, and I did speak to Vincent about this. The chart of accounts, there is a New York State mandated coding system that should be mirrored up with your QuickBooks. That would help with the Paris filings as well. We recommend that he, modifies his account coding structure to mirror up with the state guidelines. The first one is really about the journal entries we're making when we're here as part of the audit. It's a one-man show, essentially, in terms of what's going on. Vincent doesn't have any formal accounting training. He never said that he had. So, he listens to everything we say to him, and he's very willing to learn and all those sorts of things. But there's certain, we have to book audit entries. As you can see, if you look through the document, there's accounting entries that need to be made to book liabilities and make sure there's no extraneous things going on in the books and records. So it's really about, him, working through and hopefully with help from us to improve on that, so those audit adjustments, become less over time. It'd be, in a perfect world, there wouldn't be any audit adjustments. We'd come in and the books and records would be perfect and we wouldn't need to make any corrections. It's uncommon that we see that with any of our clients, but that's kind of like the goal that he should strive to. And that's really all I had for today's presentation. If there's anything you want me to go through in greater detail, if there's anything you see that needs to be changed, this is draft, so we can still, we have some time. It's due to the state by March 31st, so still time to make any corrections, amendments, adjustments, and then file it with the state.
I just have one question before I turn over to the board. Just based on your experience and observations working with other IDAs, or your knowledge of other IDAs of our scale, personnel, full-time, one, how do they manage the responsibilities of divided duties?
So I've seen different things. I've seen like IDAs use an accountant for the town or city that they're attached to, like a part-time. It's like, hey, and maybe they have to get paid a stipend or something, not definitely not full-time, but like, hey, our accountant at the town or city could handle that and use that person would do it. I've seen this is a little bit bigger of an IDA, but they hired somebody, an outside accountant to do that. I think if someone at the town would be willing to do it, to help him with the accounting records, that would certainly be probably the least expensive of the options. It adds another set of hands, helps with segregation of duties and stuff.
No.
Takes it kind of out of, gets it out of Vincent's way so he can focus on what he's really supposed to be focusing on, not so much the accounting. So I think that would be a possible option. That's mostly what I see. I mean, it's usually like either using somebody internally at the city or town or hiring somebody outside.
Great, appreciate it. Any questions or comments? This is an important moment in the year where we get this information. So. Good? All right. Jeff, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions, you can always email me or call me.
Yeah, no, I mean, going through it, it's really clear, clean. I really appreciate it. I think we all appreciate it, to be able to have the independence and verification of where we are, recognize where we have opportunities to still become more efficient within our limitations. Figure it out. The big thing I want to make sure that we commit to this year, though, is the conversion over to accrual-based
Yes.
accounting. I would love to have that done before probably the end of this month or next month if possible, and I'll talk to Vincent about that. It just makes it a lot easier, more transparent about where we are throughout the year as we cross over. All right. So if there are no other questions, which there aren't, if I can get a motion to, Lena, please help me get this resolution the right way so it meets any requirements of Paris or anywhere else. But a motion to accept the stated financial statement, or the financial statements as stated and presented to the board of directors today.
I'll make the motion.
That works for me.
Works?
John.
Excellent.
I'll
Jose
make-
has a
I'll
motion.
second.
All right, so I'm gonna do a roll call on this one. Jose?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Thompson, aye. George? Wiley? Aye.
Aye.
Greg? Aye. All right, motion's passed. Thank you, Jeff, appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Lino, do we have to do anything specific other than that for Vinny to be able to move forward with Paris? We're good?
Yep, you're good on that.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right, the next order of business for us is Matt, their financial reports.
All right. Checkbook beginning balance from last report is $12,510.13. No deposits. Checks written, New York State Economic Development Council, $125. Acquisition Marketing, $1,050. Orange County Partnership, $200. Acquisition Marketing, $1,075. Lauren, October and November, $1,500. Column Software, PBC, $127.48. New York State Economic Development Council, $1,000. New York State Economic Development Council, also $295. Empire State Development Project, $250. Lauren, $750. Traveler's Check, $1,315. Acquisition Marketing, $2,200. And Lauren, for January, $750. That brings the total down to $1,872.65. Sailfish Escrow, $3,203. And a dormant fee of $3. So it was $3,206 with a dormant fee of $3, bringing it down to $3,203. Key Capture Energy, $1,480. City Winery Escrow, $580. Prime Metal Corp., $5,000. The accelerator savings of $246,708.73 with interest of $50.02 and more interest of $340.73 brings the total to $247,099.48. Hudson Valley Country Club, checkbook beginning balance of $7,187. Public Fund Bank card balance of $1,135.57 with automatic withdrawals in Intuit 4109, Google of $311.84, purchase sign $501.52, bring that total to $854.45. The checking account balance of $281.12, and then choice film escrow of $5,000, bringing Orange Bank and Trust $1,872.65. Orange Bank and Trust Sailfish escrow $3,203. Key Capture Energy escrow $1,480. City Winery escrow $580. Prime Metal Corp. $5,000. Our trust money market of $247,099.48, and the Hudson Valley Country Club of $7,187. The Trust Public Fund Bank Card of $281.12, and Choice Films escrow of $5,000, bring the grand total of $266,703.25.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Any questions? No? All right, if I could get a motion to approve the financial statements as presented. Thank you, Miley. Second?
Second.
Jose, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no one's opposed or abstaining. Thank you. So the next order of business for us is the Executive Director's Report. Now, without Vinny here, I'm not going to read through it for him. He presents the material to us in advance. I do want to call out, I appreciate the fact that he has advanced the timeline in getting us the material. We asked him to do that, and we'll continue to work on that and use it. Any questions, highlights people want to bring up in looking at that report in particular?
No.
I think the one for us, kind of the big opportunity is the Maybrook Park, right? He's been talking about that for some time. It's good to see that the secret is approved, as I understand it at least. And from what I'm hearing is that project will be moving forward with a grant in place. So we may be getting an applicant coming into the organization here. So obviously it's going to be a great opportunity for us to consider something big and something new for the town of Montgomery. Hopefully it has the type of impact projected that we're suggesting that it might. And obviously it helps if we are able to review and ultimately approve something with the revenue situation that the auditors talked about. Yeah, that was the big highlight for me. I was excited to hear about that. All right, well, if anybody's interested in getting a field visit or site visit too, we can talk to Vinny and coordinate. I think it's important to get out and see some of these initiatives that he's highlighting, and for conversations are getting hot. All right, well, I'll ask if there's any other business from the board people want to address. No?
Nope.
One thing I'll bring up is that I asked Vinny for us to reconsider the process that we're using for reviewing applications. As we went through it last time with Choice Films, it felt a bit rushed within the context of a single meeting. And I think it would be ideal, and he suggested he agrees, if we're able to present in one meeting, use a 30-day period for review, select and collect public comment, and then ultimately take a decision at the subsequent board meeting. If that sounds fair to everybody.
It's all right.
Yeah.
That makes
sense. Yeah. I want to make sure we can avoid any issues like we've had in the past where with schools and other, government bodies around here, and make sure that we're seeking out the partnership, which I know he's doing, but it gives us a little more time to make sure things are straight. All right. With that, I'll call a conclusion of the meeting. If I can get someone to support a resolution to adjourn.
Sure.
Get seconds from someone?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no abstentions, no one declining that motion. All right, Lino.